Hello, hello, and welcome to my very first ever house building video. I decided to make this a speed build because there was no way that I was going to be posting over an hour of footage of me just building this house. So since this is my very first house build, please be kind in the comments because I know it's not perfect. And I know I change a lot from the initial design. It ends up not looking anything like it does right now. I really didn't have any plan in mind when I started this build. I just was like, let's just go with it. I am terrible at roofing, so this part takes a little bit longer than it probably should have, just because, like I said, I'm really horrible at roofs, and even the end result I don't think looked that great. But the house itself, I didn't mind. By the end of it, it was a house that I definitely would move my Sims into. I personally like playing one-level story homes just because it's easier for me to see where all of my Sims are at any given moment. So I don't have to toggle between downstairs and upstairs, especially if you have kids in the game. It makes it just a whole lot easier to keep track of babies and toddlers and make sure they're not getting into any trouble. So that's why I decided to go with a one-story house, because I figured I would, maybe use this in my game, and if I'm going to use it in my game, I thought it might be a good idea to make it a house that in the style that I like. When I was building my house, the house I currently live in on The Sims, I had to do this style of windowing and, well, not those windows in particular, but the way the walls are shaped, because that's kind of how the house I live in is. So I really like it, so I decided to include it in on this build. And I kind of jump all over the place when it comes to making and decorating this place. Just, it has no rhyme or reason to it, and that's okay. Like I said, this is my first ever time doing one of these. Also, this is definitely the most elaborate build I've ever done. When I go and play The Sims, I typically just pull a house off the gallery that I like. I just go in, choose the size lot that I plan on having my Sims live in, and just download whichever one I think will work best for those Sims. And if I do ever build my own houses in The Sims, I make them square. I add the rooms that I need, and that's basically it. I don't ever add any of the railing or the foundation or anything like that. I usually don't go that far into depth. But I've been watching a lot of speed builds lately, and I just thought, why not? Why not try my hand at it? See how it goes, see what it ends up looking like. And to be honest, I actually really enjoy how this house ends up looking. I think it ends up looking pretty cool for being, like I said, my very first time doing something like this. When I was doing the wallpaper and the floors and the outside of the house and stuff like that, it ended up looking very plain. It's all gray, white, and black. But to be fair, it does get a lot of color when I actually put in items. And that's kind of how I like my houses to be. If I were to have a house of my own, in real life, I would like it to be, all the walls being a dark gray or light gray or maybe white, and then adding color in with the items that I have instead of, painting a wall or painting an entire room, a crazy color, and then you have to base all of your furniture and stuff around the color of your room. Whereas I like to thrift a lot. I like to, go to yard sales and things of that nature. So, you don't really get to pick what colors you get. You kind of just get whatever they have. And I found some really cool stuff, like a giant orange couch, you know, just through like going to yard sales and stuff like that. And I think that that kind of stuff looks really cool. And so I think that the plain walls end up looking better, in my opinion, for what I decided to do with this. It does look incredibly bland. Also, I forgot to change the lights. I literally just put those lights in this house so that I could light up the area so I could see a little bit better. And I never changed them to anything that was like a more appropriate color scheme, or, you know, appropriate style-wise. A lot of, I guess, the style of this house is kind of modern, but it's not like overly modern either. I don't, you know, I honestly don't know what I would call this house. I ended up putting it in the gallery under just single family home. It ends up having 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. And one of the bathrooms is an ensuite for like the master bedroom. So that would be like the parents' room. And then I also just included a very simple room with a single bed. And it's like red and blue. So it could be, you know, a boy teenager's room, or you could very easily change the colors to pink or purple, or, you know, a lighter blue to make it more girly if you wanted to. But I mean, personally, when I was a teenager, I liked, like, you know, more boyish colors. So, I mean, even when I was a kid, I had like a bright blue room, because I didn't like the color pink. So you could really use that room for whatever. Or if you just want, you know, 2 adult sims, or even just 1 adult sim living in this house, you could change it to an office area. I don't have a TV or a computer in this build, just because of the way that the living room ended up being set up. See, okay, so here you go. Now you can kind of see the color of the, you know, I'm putting color in there. Don't worry. So the kitchen kind of has like a blue and like a gray or a black feel to it. And then with the dining room, I end up adding a little bit more color to tie in with it. And I think it looks really nice in the end. I know it looks very bland, but it's okay. Also, in this part, I was just trying to figure out how to make the walls taller, and I couldn't figure it out. I know I've done it before, and I know it's very simple to do. I was just like, I need to move on with this build. So I just gave up and started to put in, like, the basics in each room. I wanted to just make sure I had all of like the bigger items in there, and then I go back in and do more of like the clutter and detail items a little bit later. And like I said earlier, I jump all over the place in this build. And I know that this is not typically the content that I usually put out, but I've been watching so many of these lately, and I think that they're really awesome to put on and watch, just when you're trying to just relax, or you know, get homework done, or, you know, clean your room. Like, I think that these are really lovely videos to watch / listen to. My favorite one that I like to, I just put on a playlist and I just listen, is the Sim Supply. He's I think he's from Europe, or the UK, I'm not entirely sure, but his speed builds are very nice. They always end up looking really, really lovely, and so I just really do enjoy watching and listening to his speed builds. I've been also watching Dilligracy and Vixella, those big sim tubers, just because I don't know, I was attracted to this kind of content once I started watching it, and it really is something just really good, like background noise. Like if I'm sitting and I'm playing a video game, or if I'm playing a game on my phone and don't really want to listen to the game audio, these are really great videos to put on. So, as I said before, there's going to be, you know, pops of color in each room. I love how the living room turned out. You can put a TV in there, but I just thought that it looked so lovely. Just with the big window that you can look out, and the seating. I love the colors in that room with the purples and the yellows. So now we're moving on to like the master bedroom. I finally got rid of the grid flooring, which I know a lot of people, that's kind of a pet peeve, is seeing the grid on the on the ground as you're trying to decorate and build. So I just took that away, and I'm just looking through different rugs to put in this room. It's kind of hard to decide on rugs for me, just figuring out which ones I like the best. But I think that the master bedroom ended up looking really lovely. I like that's one room that I left very, very plain. I didn't really put any color in there. If you end up downloading this and you want to, you are obviously more than welcome to add lots of fun color. I also didn't add many wall decorations. I don't really play with my walls up in game that much. It's definitely something I should have added more of in there, but I just didn't. I think that, the main focus is the rooms themselves and what's on the floor, so I didn't really add that much wall decoration other than like mirrors here and there. I like clutter items quite a bit, so I do end up adding like quite a few clutter items. So in this little front entry hallway thing, I just put like a little table there. I'm gonna add a mirror, just something to be in that corner, just so it's not completely wasted space. I know there definitely ends up being a lot of wasted space in this house, but I end up really loving how it looks. It's not the cheapest house. I think it's around 50,000 simoleons, which is not terrible by any means. You could always do the free real estate cheat to get it if you wanted to use it as your starter. Either that, or if you have, a single sim or a couple, and they're both working, and then they find out, oh, well, the girl's pregnant, and you want to move them into a little bit bigger, nicer house. This is definitely not the most expensive house out there, and I think it looks quite lovely. As you see there, I just put on a cheat to be able to move things around and not have to worry about them, not fitting in the areas. So I just put, you do Control, I think it's Control-Shift-C, all of those at the same time, and I put in testing cheats on, and then I typed in bb.moveObjects, and that made it to where I could move objects around freely, and I didn't have to worry about, them having any restrictions. So now I'm starting to put a little bit more of like the clutter items in the kitchen. The kitchen is so huge. It really didn't need to be that big. And I think that like my placement of items in there ended up looking a little bit sporadic and not really all that great, but I tried. And I really love this set of like suitcases, and I was really hoping that it was gonna have, a colorway that would work in the living room, because I just thought that would look really lovely. But it didn't, so I didn't put it in there. I use items from... I tried to use only base game items, but I'm sure that I used other items. So I only have 3 packs in my game. I have Get to Work, the expansion pack, City Living expansion pack, and then the game pack for vampires. So if you have those, then you're good to go. I don't even think I use any vampire or Get to Work. I think that I only use base game and City Living in this particular build. I could be wrong, but I believe that that's all I use. But even if you still just only have the base game, you can still download this house, and it'll either take out the items that are not eligible, like items that you from game packs you don't have, or it'll replace them. So, you know, I think that rug in the dining room is a City Living rug. It would either just take it away or replace it with one of the base game rugs. I think a lot of the rugs I used were from City Living. But for the most part, I try to keep it, you know, base game, because I know that not everybody has the expansion packs. And I know it's always frustrating for me when I fall in love with a house that I find on the gallery, and then it ends up looking weird because a lot of the items get taken away. So I tried to keep it to a minimum amount of, you know, items from other packs as I could. I tried adding in shelves in the living room, but then there was just not enough clutter items for me to really put on there, so I ended up taking those, scrapping that idea. I didn't really like the way that it looked in the end. I should have just went ahead and put art up or something like that, but I decided against it, just because I forgot, and I knew that this video was going to be pretty long, even at, I think this is at 4 times speed, so this is sped up 4 times the speed that I built it. So yeah, it took me about an hour to just sit down and build this. Now I'm working on the outside, just putting some, you know, trees and stuff so that it doesn't look quite as, you know, just a house dropped on a lot, so that it actually looked a little bit more lived in, putting a little bit of plants in there so that it looked more, you know, cohesive, I guess is the word I would use. Now we are, and you know, we're getting towards the end of this build. I think it ended up looking really lovely. If you want to download this, you just have to search Vela Vulpix in the gallery on The Sims, and it should pop up for you. And we are moving right along to the screenshots of the house right after I finish fixing those steps and fixing the roof and then turning it back the way it was. I ended up adding some paintings to the walls, as you'll see in the screenshots, and I didn't fix the lighting situation though, so oh well. I'm not great at doing screenshots, so I apologize for that. They're not gonna look that fancy, but I think that the house ended up looking pretty nice, especially after I added the paintings and stuff in it. That's, you know, the front entryway where you can see when you walk in the house. There's another shot. If you guys like these kind of videos, please let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know what room you like the most of this house, if you did end up liking any of them. And if you would like to see more content like this, definitely leave a like so that I know. I really enjoyed doing this. It took me a lot longer than some of my other videos to make, but I think that it was worth it. I think that it was a really fun video to make, and it was really fun to see what I was capable of. I didn't know that I was able to build a house like this. It looks a lot fancier than the houses I've built previously. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you are new here. If you would like to share this video with your friends, you're more than welcome to. And I'm gonna go ahead and shut up now. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Yeah, trees.